Case 54 is a 3-4-year-old mother of two, presenting to the emergency room with progressive loss of motor function in her lower extremities. She cannot feel her toes, she cannot lift her knees. Within 6 hours of admission, a strange numbness has climbed past her hips and is moving steadily toward her chest. 3 weeks before this moment, Case 54 made a decision she believed would protect her family. She had been spending time in online wellness communities. The message in those spaces was consistent. Pasteurized milk from a grocery store is dead, heated, stripped of its natural enzymes. A processed product dressed up as nutrition, raw milk, the forums said, was alive, full of beneficial bacteria, a probiotic superfood straight from the source. Case 054 found a local homestead farm. She drove there on a Saturday morning with her 2 children. The farmer was friendly, the cows were visible from the parking lot. Everything felt clean and honest and right. She brought home 4 glass jugs and replaced every carton of pasteurized milk in her refrigerator. It tasted rich, it tasted real. She did not know that inside that glass, a single microscopic organism was already beginning to negotiate with her immune system, and that the terms of that negotiation would leave her paralyzed, on a ventilator, fighting to draw a single breath. This is what happens when your body mistakes its own nervous system for a biological threat. 14 days before the emergency room, Case 054 developed stomach cramps, severe, followed by watery diarrhea and a low fever that climbed to 102 degrees Fahrenheit. She assumed it was a stomach bug. Her children had mild symptoms too, one day of discomfort, then completely fine. Kids are resilient, she thought. She monitored herself, drank fluids, rested. By day 5, her gastrointestinal symptoms had completely resolved. She felt fine. She continued drinking the raw milk. 10 days after her stomach bug disappeared, Case 054 woke up to a strange tingling in both feet, pins and needles. She shook her legs out and assumed she had slept in a bad position. By midday, the tingling had deepened into something she did not have a word for. A heaviness. A dullness. As if the signal between her brain and her legs was being interrupted. When she tried to climb the stairs to put her children to bed that evening, her right knee buckled without warning. She sat down on the step. She tried again. Her knee buckled again. By 9 o'clock that night, she could not stand up from her own couch. Her husband called 911. In the emergency room, the attending physician conducted a standard neurological exam. He produced a small rubber hammer and tapped firmly below her kneecap on the patella tendon. In a healthy patient, this triggers an involuntary kick. The leg moves forward, the reflex arc is intact. For Case 054, there was nothing. No movement, no response, complete areflexia. The physician tested both legs, both arms. The same result everywhere. No deep tendon reflexes anywhere in her body. He asked her, had she been exposed to any toxic chemicals? Had she travelled internationally? Had she eaten anything unusual? She mentioned the raw milk. She did not think it was relevant. The stomach problem was weeks ago and she had fully recovered. The physician stepped out of the examination room and ordered a lumbar puncture immediately because the paralysis was ascending, moving upward through her body, and if it reached her diaphragm, the primary muscle responsible for pulling air into her lungs, Case 054 would stop breathing. To understand what is happening inside Case 054, we need to understand how the brain communicates with the body. Your nervous system is a network of electrical cables. These cables carry commands from your brain, move your leg, grip your hand, expand your lungs down through your spinal cord and out to your muscles. For these electrical signals to travel at speed, the nerve fibers are wrapped in an insulating layer called the myelin sheath, myelin, from the Greek myelos, meaning marrow, the inner substance, the core material. Think of myelin as the rubber coating around an electrical wire. Without it, the signal leaks out before it reaches its destination. The message never arrives. The muscle never receives the command to move. When Case 054 drank the unpasteurized raw milk, she ingested a bacterium called Campylobacter jejuni, campylo from Greek, meaning curved or bent, bacter meaning rod, jejuni referring to the jejunum, a section of the small intestine where this organism prefers to cause damage. Campylobacter jejuni is one of the most common causes of foodborne illness in the United States. It lives in the intestinal tracts of livestock. When milk is pasteurized, heated to a specific temperature for a specific duration, this bacteria is destroyed before it ever reaches the consumer. Case 054 did not pasteurize her milk. The bacteria entered her gut intact, multiplied, and caused the cramping and diarrhea she experienced 2 weeks prior. Her immune system responded exactly as it should. It produced specialized proteins called antibodies molecules engineered to recognize the specific surface of the Campylobacter bacteria and tag it for destruction. The infection cleared, the antibodies won. The stomach bug was over. But here is where the case becomes complicated. The outer surface of Campylobacter jejuni contains a specific sugar molecule. By an accident of molecular architecture, this sugar molecule is structurally similar to molecules found on the surface of human myelin. This is called molecular mimicry. Molecular, referring to the chemical structure. Mimicry, meaning the dangerous resemblance of one thing to another. The antibodies that Case 054's immune system produced to destroy the bacteria were still circulating in her blood long after the infection cleared. And when those antibodies encountered the myelin sheath coating her own nerve fibers, they recognized the same molecular pattern they had been programmed to attack. They could not tell the difference. Her immune system launched a full assault on her own peripheral nervous system. This condition is called Guillain-Barré syndrome. Guillain and Barré, two French neurologists, Georges Guillain and Jean-Alexandre Barré, who first formally described the syndrome in 1916 after observing soldiers during World War I who developed sudden paralysis following infection. Syndrome from Greek, meaning a collection of symptoms that run together. What they described, and what is now happening to Case 054, is a post-infectious autoimmune demyelination. Post meaning after, infectious meaning triggered by infection, auto meaning self, immune meaning the body's defense system, demyelination, the active destruction of myelin. Her own defense system has turned against her. As the antibodies strip the myelin from the nerves in her legs, the signals from her brain can no longer reach her muscles. Her legs are not broken, her muscles are not diseased, her brain is completely intact. But the communication line between them has been severed, and the silence is spreading upward. If you are finding these case files useful, I open a new case every month. Subscribing means you will be there when the next file is unsealed. The lumbar puncture results return from the laboratory. A lumbar puncture, also called a spinal tap, is a procedure where a needle is carefully inserted between the vertebrae of the lower spine to collect a sample of cerebrospinal fluid. Cerebro referring to the brain, spinal referring to the spinal cord. This fluid surrounds and cushions both structures and carries critical information about what is happening inside the central nervous system. In a healthy patient, cerebrospinal fluid contains very little protein and no significant immune cell activity. Case 054's results show dramatically elevated protein levels. Her white blood cell count, however, is completely normal. High protein, normal cells. This specific pattern has a clinical name: albumin cytologic dissociation. Albumin referring to protein. Cyto referring to cells. Dissociation meaning these two values have separated from their expected relationship with each other. This finding is the diagnostic hallmark of Guillain-Barré syndrome. The diagnosis is confirmed. There is no time to process the confirmation. As the medical team reviews the results, Case 054's oxygen saturation begins to fall. The ascending demyelination has reached her intercostal muscles, the muscles between her ribs that expand her chest when she breathes. Her diaphragm is beginning to fail. She is suffocating from the inside. The medical team intubates her. A tube is placed through her airway and connected to a mechanical ventilator. The machine breathes for her. To halt the autoimmune attack, the team initiates plasmapheresis. Plasma, referring to the liquid component of blood, pheresis from Greek, meaning removal or withdrawal. A machine is connected to Case 054's circulation. It withdraws her blood, separates the plasma, the liquid now carrying the rogue antibodies attacking her nervous system, discards it entirely, and replaces it with clean donor plasma before returning everything to her body. The rogue antibodies are physically removed from her system. After 5 rounds of plasmapheresis over 7 days, the assault on her myelin stops, but the damage already done remains. Case 054 spends 3 weeks on a mechanical ventilator before she is able to breathe without assistance. She spends 4 months in intensive inpatient physical therapy, relearning how to use the muscles her own immune system tried to permanently disable. She took her first unassisted steps on a Tuesday afternoon with her 2 children watching from the doorway. Case 054 did not make a reckless decision. She made a considered one, based on information she believed to be true, sourced from communities she trusted. Campylobacter jejuni triggering Guillain-Barré syndrome is rare. Most people who contract Campylobacter recover completely with no neurological consequences, but rare is not the same as impossible. And when you are regularly consuming unpasteurized milk, a product specifically and repeatedly linked to Campylobacter outbreaks, you are accepting a risk that over a century of public health science has worked to eliminate from the food. Supply. Pasteurization was not invented to remove nutrition, it was invented because people were dying. In 2026, raw milk consumption in the United States is rising, driven by wellness communities, influencer culture, and a deep distrust of industrial food systems. Federal health authorities have issued repeated warnings. The outbreaks continue. Case 054 recovered fully. Not every case closes that way. Case closed.